Hi, this is Lance Beaumont from Northwest Christian University. I want to share with you for a few minutes about this concept of shells. Shells are just using a couple of notes of a chord instead of playing the full chord, what we might consider something like that, like a full E chord. What we would do instead of playing all those notes is just use two notes of the chord, the root of the chord and the third of the chord. The third of the chord is really important because it allows us to know whether that chord is major or minor. So we're going to start first of all with a major shell, and I'll show you the shape of the major shell, the minor shell, and then we'll talk about how you can use this in the key of E, for example. So the major shell, we're going to start by placing our first finger on the 6th string, giving us the root of the chord's name. So we'll start here on the 6th string, 5th fret, giving us the note A. Place your third finger on the 7th fret of the 4th string, and your second finger on the 6th fret of the 3rd string. So if we play the strings 6, 4, 3, we have a major chord. We're doubling the root of the chord, but that's not a big deal. But we're doubling the root of the chord there, and the third is going to be right there underneath my second finger. So this gives me a major shell. Now if I only play those 3 strings, by the way, we also want to lay our first finger across when we're strumming so that we don't sound that 5th string. Now what I can do with the shell is I can simply move it around as long as I'm not playing any other strings, any open strings for example. So all of those are major chords. It's a lot like using a bar chord. It's something that's movable, a movable shape. So this right here is our major shell. And again, the lowest note that I'm playing on the 6th string lets me know what the chord's name is. Now the minor shell I'm going to do in the same spot, keeping your first finger on the 6th string, again giving me the root of the chord. I want to place my 4th finger now on the 7th fret of the 4th string, so doubling my root, and then I'm going to take my second finger and place it on the 5th fret of the 3rd string, just like that. Now what I've done is I've actually lowered the third of the chord down a half step, which gives me the interval of a minor third, which then allows me to play a minor shell. So I have a major shell and a minor shell. Okay? Now, if I use these based around the key of E, I can utilize my open strings. The key of E, if we build a chord starting on each note of the scale, this is how we would get the chords to the key of E. We'd have E major, then we would have F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A major, B major, C sharp minor, and then we'd have D sharp diminished, if you want to do it as sort of a 7th chord, and back to our E. Now what we're going to do instead of using bar chords is we'll use our shells to go through this, and that will allow us to play the open strings, giving us kind of a vibey sound. So if I start with E, I can play it right there in open position. The next chord I'm going to build is F sharp minor, so I'm going to put my first finger 2nd fret, 4th finger on the 4th fret, 4th string, and my second finger is going to be on the 2nd fret, 3rd string. Now if I lay this finger across like we were talking about a second ago and mute that 5th string, I can actually strum this. That gives me an F sharp minor sound. If I move it up 2 frets to the note G sharp, just walking up an E major scale, then what I have is a G sharp sound, or you can actually use this chord when you have E with G sharp in the bass. E with G sharp in the bass, using an E first inversion chord. Then I have A, right there at the 5th fret. A would be my major chord, so a major shell. B is going to be the 7th fret. It would be a major chord, so I use my major shell again. Then I have C sharp minor, which is going to be at the 9th fret, minor shell. Now when we do the diminish, since we're not playing the 5th of the chord within this shape, the 5th of the chord is what lets me know if the chord is just a minor chord or diminished. Since I'm not using that, I can actually utilize this shape as like a B with D sharp in the bass, so a B first inversion chord. And then I can play E here at the 12th fret with my major shell. So this is what it might sound like. So that's just using these major and minor shells to work your way up the guitar neck.